Hey everyone, thanks for enrolling in this short course on how to install the SAP GUI. My name is Thomas Michael. I've been in the SAP consulting world for over 20 years. I've always focused on the asset accounting area of SAP. I've written a book on SAP. I speak a lot at national conferences, but most importantly, I'm also an online SAP instructor, and I really enjoy sharing my SAP knowledge with you all, and that's the reason why I put this course together. In this short course, I'll show you step by step how to install the GUI on your computer. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the GUI in general, give you an overview and an introduction. Why do we need the GUI? What does it actually do? And what are the three different types of GUIs that exist? Then we'll talk about the GUI installation itself. So that's where we go through the installation process step by step on how to install the GUI on your own computer. And then once it's installed on your computer, you need to add the SAP system connection information to the GUI. So the system that you want to log in, and I'll show you how to do that. And then last but certainly not least, we'll talk about how to install GUI patches and updates and hot fixes. Okay, but let's start with the GUI overview or introduction. So this word GUI stands for Graphical User Interface, and all that it is it's a program that you need to connect to an SAP system. And this whole thing is based on what's called the client-server architecture. There's a mouthful, but it's actually real easy to understand. I drew a little diagram right here. On the left side, you see an SAP server, and that could be a server that's installed on premise, or it could be a server that's somewhere in the cloud, doesn't matter. But the point is, in order to log into this server or the SAP system that's installed on this server, you need a computer. That's what you see on the right. You see all these people, their computer, and on this computer, you need to have the GUI, and that's considered a client. That's why it's called a client server architecture, because multiple clients or computers can access the SAP server, and they do that through the SAP GUI. Hope that makes sense. There are three different types of SAP GUIs. The first one is the SAP GUI for HTML, or a lot of people also refer to it as the web GUI. I actually call it that too, web GUI. The next one is the SAP GUI for Windows, and then there's also an SAP GUI for Java. So those are the three different kinds or types of GUIs that exist. You'll also hear the word SAP login or SAP logon or SAP logon pad. That's all the same thing. It's all referring to the SAP GUI. You'll see the icon here. If once you install it on your computer, this is the icon that you'll have, or depending on what version you have, it looks something like this, and it'll say SAP logon, for example, or SAP Frontend. It's actually another term that you hear a lot. Again, that's all the same thing. It's the SAP GUI that you need in order to log in to an SAP system. So I'll go through all three types of GUIs right now, and I'll give you a little bit of the pros and cons for each. And we'll start with the SAP GUI for HTML, or the web GUI. As the name suggests, it's a browser-based GUI. That means you just start your Internet Explorer, or I shouldn't call it Internet Explorer. Your browser could be Google Chrome or Firefox. Internet Explorer is actually too old, doesn't really exist anymore. But the point is, you start your browser and you simply type in the URL of your SAP system, and then you can log in. So the pros are you don't need to install anything. There's nothing to download. You simply start the browser and you can log into SAP. Sounds really great, but there's a couple of cons around it. First one is it's pretty slow. And that can get annoying pretty quickly, especially if you know your way around SAP very well. Things don't happen as quickly as with the other two GUI options. Also, the Web GUI does not support all SAP functions. There's a few, especially graphical features, that don't render or display nicely or at all in the Web GUI. So that's a drawback. And most importantly, you need to have a supported browser version. Not every internet browser is actually supported. Here's an example of one of our SAP systems URL. And if you just clicked on it, you with a supported browser, you would end up on the login screen. It would look like this. Simply type in your user ID and password, and then you're logged into an SAP system through your web browser. It couldn't be any easier. Once you're logged in, this is what you'll see. I used Google Chrome to take this screenshot. If you're familiar with the other SAP GUIs, how they render the SAP screen, you'll notice that it looks very, very familiar and very much the same. If you're not familiar with it, I'll share some other screenshots later when I talk about the other two GUI options. But you'll see that the transactions are rendered or displayed in your browser window, just like with the other GUI options. So that part is actually really, really nice about the Web GUI. Now let's talk about the SAP GUI for Windows. This is by far the most widely used GUI out there. Most people have this installed on their computer or at work. Um, the reasons are it's fast, it's fully supported, it displays all graphical features of the system properly, and it really is the de facto standard GUI to log into an SAP system. At least right now, SAP is pushing the web GUI a lot, and with the new Fiori platform, you will see and use it more and more often. But at least for right now, most people by far use the GUI for Windows. It does have a few cons. First of all, it needs to be installed on your computer, and that file is actually really, really big. It's about a gigabyte big. Also, once it's installed on your computer, you need to make sure that you always install the latest updates and patches and fixes. Just like any other software, the GUI has bugs too, and when SAP finds these bugs, they fix them and then they release a new update to it. So you need to stay on top of these things. That's something you don't have to do if you use a web GUI, of course, because there's nothing to download or install. Right? This is me being logged into our system using the SAP GUI for Windows. Notice that it looks very much the same as the other screenshot that I've shown you, right? It's an identical look and feel that supports all the SAP features, and it's definitely faster than the web GUI. And the third option is the GUI for Java. That GUI is platform independent. That's what they call it. What it means is you can use the Java GUI for any kind of computer, regardless if it's a Windows PC or a Mac computer or even a Linux operating system. This Java GUI comes in all three flavors, if you will. So there's a Java GUI for Windows, there's a Java GUI for Mac, another Java GUI for Linux, and it runs on all three of these. So that's a big pro. If you use an Apple computer, this is the only option really available to you. There's not a lot of people that do that actually, but it's good to know that it is an option. It has the same cons as the Windows GUI. It also needs to be installed on your computer. The file is not as big, but you also need to stay on top of regular updates and patches. And of course, you need to make sure you download and install the correct version for your platform. So if you have a Mac computer, you need to make sure you download the Mac version of the Java GUI and install that. When you look at a screenshot, this is a screenshot taken with a Mac, I'm sorry, a Java GUI. You can tell that It looks a little different, but overall it has a very similar look and feel than the other GUI options. Same thing, supports all the GUI features out there, and it's definitely faster than the web GUI too. Now, let's actually go ahead and install the GUI now on our computers, and I'll walk you through the steps for it. And I'm going to show you the installation for the GUI for Windows, just because it's the most widely used GUI out there. Most people will use this. The Java GUI installation is similar, slightly different look and feel of some of the screens, but the process is the same. So we'll start with the GUI for Windows. It's a three-step process. The first thing is you have to download the GUI file. And if you sign up with our SAP Access subscription, we will send you the download links from where you can download it. Then you need to extract the zip file, because the file that you're downloading is a big zip file. It's about a gigabyte, almost a gigabyte big. Once it's downloaded, you need to extract the zip file, and then you actually start the installation. And we'll walk through all of these. So here we are. I downloaded the file, the zip file, big file, 876 megs, took about, I don't know, 20 minutes or so to download, and now I have it on my computer. And the first step in the installation process is to right click the file, and then you say extract all. And then it's going to ask you, where do you want to extract this to? And you can just put something in there if you want to, or you just simply accept the default. That's what I do. I make sure that the show extracted files when complete is not turned on. And the reason is because I want to show you something. And then I say extract. And it will start the extract now. So you can see it says there's almost 4,000 items in this zip archive. The extraction will probably take 5 or 10 minutes at least. So I'm just going to let this run. There's nothing for me to do. I'll just pause myself, and once the extraction is done, I'll get back on. And we're back. The extraction has finished. Took about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 minutes or so. And you now should see that you have a new file folder right here. So that's the part that I wanted to show you. So I still have the zip file, the original zip file that I downloaded right here, but I now also have the file folder, and that's where all my extracted files are. And in the next step, we'll talk about how to start the installation. Now the next step is the actual GUI installation. So we've downloaded the file, we extracted the zip file, and now we have the old zip file right here, and we have this new file folder that we extracted all the files to. Now, the next step is very, very important. This is where probably most people make a mistake. They drill into this zip file, right? If you double click this, you can drill into the zip file, and then they try to start the installation from within the zip file. That does not work. This will definitely give you an error message. So make sure that the next step you do is that you drill into the file folder. So this one right here, I'll double click this folder, and then I just have to double click a few more folders. The next one is this presentation 7.5. Simply double click this. Then the next folder is called Pres1. Double click that. Then the next folder is called the GUI folder right here. Double click that. Then the next folder is Windows, because I'm installing the Windows GUI. If I were installing the Java GUI, it would say Java right now, but I'm not. I'm installing Windows, so double click Windows. And one more, this one is called Win32. Double click that. And we finally get to the installation folder, and scroll down to the bottom of this folder, and notice at the very bottom of the list, I have a file called Setup All. That is the file you need to double click to start the installation of the GUI. Set up all. So I'm going to double click this, and this will start what's called the Frontend Installer. It'll pop up. Takes a couple of minutes to analyze a few files. Really, the next pop-up is more important because that's where you get to select a few GUI components. So each GUI includes several components. Some of them are needed, others are optional, and I'll give you a little bit more information about it when we get to that point, but this might actually take a few minutes. So I'm going to put myself on hold again, and I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take too long. I'm back. This is now the Frontend Installer, or the Wizard they call it, to install the GUI. All you have to do is click Next. And here are these components that I mentioned. So all of these components are available in the GUI that I have downloaded. When you hover your mouse over them, it actually tells you on the right side what this is used for, which is very useful. You can also open these components and select subcomponents for each. So for example, I just opened this Business Explorer component, and it includes 2 subcomponents. So it gets pretty complex very quickly. And that's the reason why my approach always is I install the minimum necessary, because I know I can always go back into this installation and I can add the other components later as I need them. So, and that's what I would suggest you do too. So let's just install the very minimum, which is the GUI itself, of course. That's this component right here, SAP GUI for Windows 7.5. That's the version I downloaded. And because I also work a lot with the Business Explorer, that's the BI system or BW system, Business Warehouse or Business Intelligence system. This allows me to run reports in Excel, for example. So I'm going to include that too. So I got these 2 components, Business Explorer and really the SAP GUI for Windows. That's the main part, right? These are the 2 that I'm going to install. And remember, if you ever want to come back and install other components, you simply just go back to that setup all file, start that again, and then you can pick additional components right here. This will also tell you how much space you need on your computer and how much you have available. So that can be very helpful. And then all you have to do after you selected your components is click Next. And then it asks you, where do you want to install this GUI to? And I always just accept the default folder right here. Click Next. Same thing for the Business Explorer. It's asking me if where I want to install this to. I just accept the default, click Next. And this will start the installation now. Depending on how many components you have selected, this can take quite a while. If you select all the components, I bet you it'll run for an hour. But I selected only these 2 components, the GUI itself and the Business Explorer. So this should probably run, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. Once that's done, then we'll continue. But for now, I'll put myself on hold again. And I'm back. My installation has finished successfully. Got the green check mark here. All I have to do is hit close and we're done. Congratulations, you have installed the GUI on your computer. Now, in this lesson, we'll talk about how to actually add your SAP system or our SAP system to the GUI so that you can log in. So in this next section, I'll show you how you add SAP systems to the GUI that you just have installed, because the GUI itself is just an empty shell, basically. You still need to add the system connection information to the GUI before you can log in. So let's take a look at this now. Okay, so this is what your computer desktop should look like. You should have a new icon on there, just like that, called SAP Logon. And when you double click this, it will start the GUI, the SAP GUI for Windows. This is version 7.5 right now, and notice that this area right here in the GUI is totally blank. It's just a white space. This is normally where all your SAP systems would show up. But again, this is a brand new installation, so that's why this is blank, and it is up to us to add an SAP system to it now. And that's fairly easy. And if you have signed up for SAP Access from us, then you have received an email that looks somewhat like this. It will have your SAP user ID in here, a password, and then most importantly, it has the system connection information here. So all you have to do is make sure you look at this information, and then we're going to copy that into our GUI. So I'm going to start by going back to the GUI right here, and I have to click on new item. Get a pop-up box right here. All I have to do is say next, and now I have to put in my system description. So this is the SAP S/4HANA system, and then it wants to know application server. Now, all that information is stored in that email you have received from us. So right here's the application server, for example. I'm just going to copy that. Here's the system number, system ID. All I have to do is put that information in here. System number was 00, system ID HS4. That's just a 3-digit identifier. And then the SAP router string. I go back to that email. I got it right here. Copy that thing, and then I paste it in here. If you have gotten SAP Access from somewhere else or at work, then your system administrator will have that information for you. But all you have to do is fill out these few fields, and then you click Finish, and you're done. So now that SAP system shows up right here, and all I have to do to log in is to double click it. Let's do that, and then right here is my SAP system, my login screen. Now I just put in my user ID password, and then I'm in. And that's how easy it is to install the GUI and systems. Also, you can add as many systems as you want to this GUI. So you could have an S/4HANA system here, maybe have another ECC system or a CRM system or a test system or production system. You can add as many as you want to, and they will all show up on this list. Almost done with this course. We just have one section that I wanted to share with you. I want to show you how to install GUI patches and hotfixes, just because this is something that you will have to do on an ongoing basis. So that's why it's important to understand how to do that. So just like any software in the world, SAP's software has little bugs too, and the GUI is certainly no exception. And when SAP finds these bugs and they fix them, they release a new GUI version or a patch or what's called a hotfix. And it's up to you to install these on an ongoing basis. Again, if you're one of our SAP Access subscribers, we will send you these patches and these updates periodically, and then you can download them and install them. If you don't have access from us, then you need to get these updates from work, for example. But before you can install a patch, you need to first check to see if you already have that patch or that hotfix installed. So let me show you how you can check your GUI version and patch level very easily. First of all, you start the GUI, and then you click on this. This is called a hamburger menu, because I guess it looks like a hamburger, like a sausage patty and a bun. So you click on the hamburger menu on top here, and then select About SAP Logon. And on this pop-up box that you get, this is where it will tell you what your GUI version is. You see I'm on GUI 750 or 7.5, and notice I'm on patch level 0. So that's the very first initial version of this GUI. That's probably not a great idea. I'm sure there is a patch for it out there. So I'm going to look for that. And then we're going to see if I should or need to install this. And I say, okay, and that's it. I checked the SAP support site, and just like I expected, there are several patches and hotfixes available for my GUI. The latest one that I could find was patch level 6, and I downloaded the file for it. Notice this right here. It says GUI 750_6, meaning this is patch level 6. And I also noticed that there was a hotfix available, and that's the other file I downloaded. This one says GUI 750_06, right? So this is patch level 6_1. So this is hotfix number 1. A hotfix is something that goes on top of the patch level. This is an additional bug they found, and they couldn't get it into the patch level. So you also need to install these. Now, I downloaded these files as zip files to my computer, and as before, you can't start an installation from within a zip file. So I had to extract these zip files first, and now I got these two executable files. I'll start the installation with a patch level first. So this is patch level 6. I simply double click this. Now it's extracting a few more files here, depending on how big that patch is. This could take a few minutes. So as before, I'm going to put myself on hold, and when this is done, I'll be right back. Okie dokie, the extraction is done and the front-end installer came up, this pop-up box, and it says I am about to install patch level 6 for my GUI. That sounds good. So all I have to do is click next, and the installation starts. It's as simple as this. So there's really not much to installing these patch levels. You just basically have to start it, and we'll go through it. Again, this will run for a few minutes. So I'm going to put myself on hold, and when this is done, then we'll do the same thing for the hotfix that I downloaded. Okie dokie, I'm back. The patch level installation has finished, but it's telling me that I need to reboot my computer to complete the process. So I'll do that in just a moment. I'm going to hit close for now. Once I reboot it, I will go through the exact same process to install the hotfix. I don't have to show you that. It looks exactly the same process. But when I'm done with that, I'll probably have to reboot again. And then I want to show you the GUI one more time, specifically the patch level, because you'll see that it doesn't say patch level 0 anymore. It will then actually say patch level 6. Okay, I'm back. I rebooted the computer, finished the installation of the hotfix, went through the exact same steps, and now I started my GUI again, and I just want to show you the version one more time. So click on the hamburger menu, then go to About SAP Logon, and now notice that it says patch level 6, hotfix 1. All right, so before it said patch level 0, but now I installed this. So this is how you can always see what level you're on, and you can determine if you need to download or install a certain patch level. And that ends the lesson, and actually the course too. We'll just do a quick little summary, and then we're all done. Okay, everyone, you made it to the end of the course. Congratulations, job well done. Let me just quickly summarize a few of the high points now. So there are 3 different types of GUIs that you should be aware of. The first one is the web GUI, or the official name for it is the SAP GUI for HTML. Then there's the GUI for Windows. That's the one that we looked at and actually installed together. And then there's also the Java GUI. that installation works pretty much the same way. It's just, slightly different looking screens, but the process is the same. And the process really is download the GUI file, extract it, and then start the installation with the setup all file. And last but not least, remember when you download the GUI and install it on your own computer, you also then need to stay on top of the patches and hotfixes on a periodic basis. And with that, I say thank you for enrolling in this course. I hope this was helpful and useful, and I hope that you join me in any of my other courses. Thanks so much.